Well, welcome again to this Road to the Olivier's broadcast with our esteemed panel. And today we're going to be talking about the Best New Play nominees. So welcome to Susie, McKenna, theatre director, Paul Taylor-Mills, producer, and Anne Treneman, critic from The Times. So let's start with The Inheritance. Paul, you loved this, I know.
I loved The Inheritance. I just thought, it's an epic. It's like 7 hours long, which the Lehman Trilogy is too, right? They're quite long. It's very in vogue at the moment to have these long periods in the theatre, isn't it? I just thought how brilliant that a story that feels it's about gay men and the trials and tribulations of what it means to be a gay man in 2019. But it kind of felt timeless at the same time, and that we haven't moved on in terms of what it's like to live in that way. And I just thought the performances, it was a very simple show. It wasn't fussy. The set was very straightforward. The performances were just astounding, and I didn't feel like I was in the theatre for 7.5 hours. And again, to see that go from the young Vic to was Noel Coward,
West End, yeah.
Yeah, and translate so brilliantly. I just thought how great to have that in the West End,
yeah.
And a very modern story.
So from one long epic to another, the Lehman Trilogy, not quite as long, but...
Yeah, I thought the Lehman Trilogy was great. I mean, I gave it 5 stars and I was totally transported by it. And I had no intention of being transported by it. I thought, oh, you know, the story of the Lehmans coming over from Bavaria to Mississippi or Alabama in the sort of mid-1800s. You know, you sort of think, And also just it all felt like it was going to be sort of just like a history light thing. But actually, it was brilliantly done. And 3 extraordinary actors kind of all sharing roles. And I could honestly say, and they were just revolving in this cube on stage. It's very, very sort of modernist. They didn't attempt to do a traditional sort of telling of the story, but it was so good. It was about the relationships between the brothers and then their children, and also with an incredible backdrop of history. And I was totally
transported,
kind of bowled over by it. And it's always kind of unbelievable when you're bowled over and you never expect it to be.
I want to see it now.
I was sort of, I was in brace position, sort of thinking.
Well, it's coming back, we should say. The Lehman Trilogy is coming back. It's going to open at the Piccadilly, so you know, people are going to get another chance.
It's always amazing when it's often the most theatrically moving thing is when a very small story, if you like a family story or a love story or whatever, is set against a backdrop that is vast and
a backdrop of history.
Yeah, and when that's successful, that's incredibly powerful.
But moving on, I mean, these are two huge epics we've talked about, and then the third nomination is obviously Misty, this very tiny play which started at the Bush Theatre, came into one of our smaller Trafalgar Studios 1, you know, written by and starring Arinze Kenny.
So it's a real success story in terms of, you know, where we're looking at what the future is of theatre in general, because it doesn't have what is a normal theatre form, but it doesn't. It takes you in all sorts of different directions. It's jagged. It takes you in different directions. Anything for me that would bring in a new audience to theatre is fine by my book, and especially a diverse
Which it really did, didn't it?
And
very
it did.
Diverse,
I sat
young
there.
Audience.
Absolutely, and I sat there with quite a mixed audience, but there was a very young feel in there at the Bush, and the energy that gave it, and Arinze's performance is stunning. I mean, because he's funny, he's sad, he takes you on this journey, and the music's kicking. You know, looking at Shiloh Coke on those drums, and you know, it's the sort of theatre that really speaks to me, particularly at the moment. For me, I want to see theatre go in that direction. I want to see things like, I don't say it all has to. You don't want a hip hop version of the Lehman Trilogy, but it might be fun. That's an idea. But no, but I think in terms of, you know, we have to broaden the palette. And that's what Arinze did so extraordinarily well.
And then the final nomination is obviously Sweat. So this is Lynn Nottage's play, Pulitzer Prize winner, we should say. Really a play about, it's set in America, but it could easily be in the UK about really the decay of a town.
It could be in Sunderland, couldn't it? Now it could be. It could be anywhere. It could have been during the miners' strike. I think
really what happens when a company town is the company is taken out of the company town and how the lives fall apart. And I was really surprised to find myself really involved, because I thought it was a bit of an old story in a way. I thought it was quite dated, even though it was not a dated, you know, it was written recently, etc. But I was quite surprised how it all. I was very involved with the stories of the people on stage, and I mean, one of the things was at the Donmar Warehouse. It was very kind of intimate theatre, and so you feel like you're practically living in the town.
Yeah.
Well, kind of because you are.
And of course, it's transferring to the Guildford for a short run as well now. So
that's good because more people will be able to see it.
And I'd see Claire Perkins do anything.
Yeah, and Martha Plimpton. I mean, a wonderful cast again.
I mean, yeah, incredible, and as you say, powerful, and I think great to have female protagonists again. You know, in that way.
It's interesting, isn't it? 4 very different new plays actually this year. Very different genres, different types, being told in very different ways actually. So the future of British writing is hopefully alive and well, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.